And welcome to another episode of Jason's Game Room, the only podcast here on YouTube that talks about everything gaming, from video games to CCGs to dice games to board games. Hell, I even talked about Pug. If it has anything to do with gaming, anything whatsoever, it's going to be on this show and talked about at some point. So you got to keep tuning in to see what's going to happen next. Now, this episode was supposed to originally be done earlier in the sequence, and I was supposed to have a very special guest to help me co-host, because this show is about Destiny, the original Destiny video game that came out for PS3, PS4, and Xbox, etc., etc. And my friend in question, the one, the only Grant Smith, who knows more about Destiny than pretty much anybody I've ever met or encountered, I was hoping to have his insight and his opinions on the game. Unfortunately, due to current world conditions and the fact that I work 7 days a week, to pay my bills, it was near impossible to set up a date and time to get him on the show. So I'm going to be going it alone. And Grant, if you're listening, I hope I can do a really good job explaining this as you might have. So here goes nothing. If you're unfamiliar with Destiny, and you better not be because this is a gaming channel, it came out in 2014. It was an online-only multiplayer first-person shooter, and it was developed back when Bungie and Activision were still partnered and before they split up. It is one of the best almost open-world sandbox first-person online shooters I've played, and I never originally was interested in it when I heard about it, but my before-mentioned friend Grant got me hyped up, and I got in on the last couple days of the pre-order, and needless to say, I was not disappointed when I first played it. And in the game, you are playing the role of a guardian, using anything from 3 classes of either Hunter, Warlock, or Titan. You are a protector of Earth's last safe city, and you start off in the tower. And if you look off to the edge of the tower, you see hovering over Earth this giant silver ball. Well, whitish silver, platinum, whatever. That is called the Traveler, and you are tasked with reviving it somehow using the power called light. And you're going and fighting different alien races that are there to try to take over Earth and destroy it and do all sorts of bad, nasty things. And I must say, Destiny was a refreshing change for first-person shooters in the fact of how much customization you can do and the exploration and the different missions. And as you progress through the story, whether or not you're playing with anyone, it unlocks more and more locations you can go to. You start off going through Earth and exploring old Russia and the spaceports and the Cosmodrome. You branch off to the moon, and then after you start getting through that, you start opening up Venus and Mars. And in later expansions and downloads that came out with the game, you could go out to Saturn, the Dreadnought, the asteroid field, and, the possibilities are almost endless. And it was an interesting diversion, to say the least, to start visiting all these locations and getting deeper into the story and trying to fight your way through every new adversary and finding the difference between the different alien races that are there to fight you. Such as in the case with the one expansion, the Taken King, where the nasties get even nastier. And when you finally get to the end of that, you're in a fight for your life. You're in one of the biggest fights in a video game you ever thought possible. And one of the things I've always enjoyed about Destiny was the exploration aspect and finding different things and wandering around. You don't always have to just plunge into combat with the nearest group of dregs or whatever happens to be there. Now, that being said, I have to discuss one of the detractors of Destiny right off the bat, because this is something that myself and other gamers had agreed on, especially after hours and hours of playing, and that is, even though there are a lot of missions that you can team up on or do by yourself, if you notice, to take an example, in the case of if you're doing these missions on the moon, the same levels and maps are used over and over and over again for different missions, and that is a little repetitive. That gets annoying. And in the case of the moon, where 3 or 4 vital missions, you go down the same set of stairs into the same tunnel, into the same chamber in the moon, and it's fun at first, but you're half expecting new maps, and you keep just going into the same area, but you're facing different baddies. Or maybe they've added one extra room to the map, which doesn't look that much different, and you're kind of left with a weird taste in your mouth, because at one point you're having fun fighting and doing all that battle, but at the second point of it, you're just sitting there going, well, I've already been in here so many times, I just kind of don't want to get in here anymore. And we used to talk about this, me and my old group of friends, when we were playing online. We'd start something and one of us would always be, oh no, this map again? And you always have one person in your group saying, no guys, it's okay, we're going to go have fun. But it's not the same, because I think when Destiny, before it came out, they should have maybe put more options for maps in there for missions. Repetitiveness is not always fun in a video game. And as someone who's played a lot of Battlefield 3 and 4, yeah, you're playing on the same maps night in, night out, but it's a different kind of game. You expect to be on those maps. Whereas with Destiny, you're trying to find new things every time you're in there. So, I don't know. Now, of the 3 different classes of Guardian, the Hunters, the Warlocks, and the Titans, Hunters are quick and agile, which is, I prefer the Hunters. I have 2 Hunter characters. Warlocks are mages or space wizards or what have you. They focus on recovery and melee attacks. I've never really been big on Warlocks. And the other one is a Titan. So they are like a person turned into a tank. And I do use a Titan character once in a while. But from my opinion, Hunters are the best because they're the most versatile class in the game. And you also have a multitude of different equipment and weapons that you can use. Which brings me to another facet of the game, which I always found interesting and sometimes confusing. And that was the merchant in online play known as Zour, spelled X-U-R. And you would go to Zour, if you could find him, to get special equipment and weapons. And you'd have to pay a lot of strange coins if you had them saved up. Now, Zour was great to start off with because you'd get higher leveled equipment and weapons, but as you progressed and got closer to level 30 or above, he started selling shit, basically. It was either the same stuff or lower level stuff, and you wouldn't want to waste your strange coins. I've got about 60 strange coins sitting in storage. I got nowhere to spend them on because all the equipment is crap, and I'm at level 40 in all of my classes now. And it just became disappointing because I thought they could have added more and done more with Zour and expanded his what he was selling, his catalog, but instead they lowered it or they didn't bother with it. He'd still appear between midnight on Friday and midnight on Sunday, but he wouldn't have anything to offer you. And you'd go up to him, you'd waste all that time finding him or going on the internet and finding his location only to go, oh, well, I'm not buying that. And just like the quartermasters and the other people in the tower, they, after a while, they don't have anything useful for you. So you're kind of trying to purposely get yourself into battles and do other things to level up and find better equipment for yourself, which takes longer, but at the same time it could be better because you're actually finding better legendary gear with the gold or purple icons that's better than anything that the quartermasters or Zour can give you. Well, I've already said a lot about Destiny, and I've still got more to go at this point. There are a lot of facets to the game, and unfortunately I could go on for about an hour about it, but I don't have that kind of time. And one of the cool things that I thought Destiny did was using the ghosts, and that's that little mechanical ball device that does things for you, and you can use him to get back to your ship and does a multitude of things. The ghost was really cool, and I thought that a neat thing. It was almost like if you're playing a Star Wars game and you have R2-D2 following you around, except more compact, and the ghost talks and does different things. And especially if you find destroyed or dead ghosts and reanimate them and get a couple extras out of it, it's even better. But I found the ghost to be an interesting companion in the game and an interesting facet all on his own that I actually did research on just to see about his inclusion in the game and how they came up with it, which was a different story in itself, but I always thought the ghost was cool. Even when he's giving you useless warnings, now, oh, you shouldn't do that or go here. Or you have to be careful because it's going to be full of blah, blah, blah in the next area. But overall, Destiny is a very, very good game. It has a good plot. It has a good story. There's a lot of action. There's a lot to do. And as I said, the only detractor is the repeated levels. Which brings me to the segment in the show called The Ups, the Downs, and the Downright Dirty. Actually, that's the highs, the lows, and the Downright Dirty. I haven't done this segment in a while, so I kind of forget. The highs for Destiny are obvious. Great all-around game, open world, play with your friends, fire teams, ghosts, so much to do and see. Even something as small as exploring caves for loot chests is fun. As far as the lows, the only low in the game is the repetitiveness of some of the missions and the maps, which I've already discussed. And I don't really need to go back into detail on that. There is no Downright Dirty. It's too high quality of a game to have a Downright Dirty. And like I said, it's one of the best all-around games I've ever played, so nothing in that category. And that's pretty much all I have to say on Destiny today. Like I said, I could go on for hours about it, but I don't have the time. And again, another shout out to Grant Smith. It's too bad I couldn't have you on the show today, bro, because you would have added an interesting dynamic to everything I've said and added tons of your own, and the show would be twice as long. But it is what it is, and that's all for today. I thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to keep listening. There's going to be more gaming, because that's what this show is all about, is gaming. Have a great day, take care, and game on!